One percenters, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. I'm Coach Tommy. On this channel, I help ballers just like you improve your game by simplifying it. I break the game down into 3 components: mind, body, and craft. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around and consider subscribing. In this video today, I want to show you my plyometric leg workout.
This is the first exercise that I started with. It is a tibialis raise, so my foot is just hanging off the edge of a bench, and I attached a dumbbell to my foot using a floss band. You just wrap it around. Any floss band or ace bandage would work, and then you just go up and down, side to side, kind of in circles with the front of your foot, and you lower slowly. Don't do a lot of these if you've never done them, because your shins will burn and they will feel sore for multiple days. If you don't have that equipment, I'm doing a wall Tibs, so my butt is against the wall, my legs are straight, I'm a few inches away from a wall, and you just lift your toes up towards your knees, and you should get a small burning in your foot if you're a little bit more advanced. Next, I grab these plyo bands that I have looped under my squat rack, and I begin to do the rest of my lower legs. So this is my calves, so I do jumping, narrow, wide, normal, all different kind of widths to stimulate different parts of my calves, and then I'll turn my feet in and I'll turn them out. I'll usually do 10 to 20 reps on each angle. Then I'll go into some light high knees just to kind of warm up and just to see how hard those bands are pulling. So obviously the harder you push against the bands, the harder it's going to pull against you. Okay, so I'll go from high knees, and then I'll go to A skips where my heel is coming up towards my butt, working on a little bit like elastic pull from the hamstring to the butt here. And I'll do these for a little while, and then I'll go more aggressive in force production. So this is a high knee, so I'm just really concentrating on trying to get powerful force production out of the right knee on this side. So I'm going right knee down up, right knee down up. Okay, so I have fat grips looped around the plyo bands because I noticed the more I did these, my hands would get torn up, and I was wondering where it happened from. My hands are dry, so the bands are tearing into my hands without me noticing. You could put a cloth, a towel, or anything like that. I just have fat grips, and it works your grip a little bit because the grip is pretty wide. It's 2 inches in diameter. So I'll go into the same sequence here with the calves: wide, angle, narrow, turned inward, turned outward, usually switching at 10 or 20 reps, and then I'll go into the heel to hamstring, and then I'll go into high knees, and then I'll do that for 3 to 5 sets. Sometimes I'll just keep going to get my heart rate up to make sure I'm fully warm before I go. I'm not very strong in the ankles, so I've been paying extra attention to this as of late. Next, I decided to throw on the weight vest, and this one right now is weighing about 40 pounds, give or take. It's filled with these metal sand or lead sand or something like that. Each of those little pouches has a 5-pound weight in it, I believe. And so lower legs are warm, and now I go into my split squat that you've hopefully seen me do plenty of times. But I put a foam roller around my squat rack so my foot can glide up and down pretty easily. It's the easiest way I found to do split squats in my gym. I'm elevated on a small little step just to make sure I get a good depth. If you don't have a squat rack or a bar, you can obviously use a chair. Sometimes I'll use a chair. So the first set was just with the weight of the vest, and then the second set I start to explode up, holding the same band and fat grips combination that I have. And so now going down, there's no added weight, but coming up there's the additional force of the bands, so you can get more explosive on the concentric portion of this work. And this really helps in basketball when you're shooting or trying to go upwards. Next, I rig up this contraption here. That's my adjustable dumbbell. It's about 45 or 50 pounds. And I've done a lot of exercises kind of like this, and I've noticed that I'm stronger than the 50 pounds. So here I'm putting an additional 10 pounds, 2 10-pound plates over it. And then I have the band looped up around the dumbbell grip. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab one of my big carabiners, and then I loop it, and then essentially I will have a pulley system that pulls me down. So as you can see, it's pretty heavy. Okay, and then I have this other piece of equipment that I bought a long time ago. I used it for dips and pull-ups when I used to do a lot more pull-ups, and heavy dips. You just loop it around your back. It has a chain, and then you normally would just loop through a weight plate or something like that. But today instead, I'm using it for a pulley, or like a K-box, if you ever used a K-box. So I'll just hook it in there, and it's pulling pretty tight. It's hard sometimes using resistance bands because you don't know exactly how much pressure it is. But here it's pretty heavy, and I'm wearing the 40-pound vest. So I'm dropping into drops, and doing drops is one of my least favorite exercise. It requires a lot of absorbing and elastic push. So I'm dropping quickly, trying to absorb the force of the weight that I'm not used to, the 40-pound weight, and the acceleration from the band pulling me down. It is pretty exhausting. If you've basically ever tried to jump and land 20 times or 10 times, however many times I do it here, it's pretty exhausting. It's like reverse plyometrics. It's basically just working on absorbing versus creating power. And if you follow me at all on Instagram, I'm all about absorbing power first, absorbing weight first, deceleration first, because it is the easier way to train because you're less likely to get hurt. All the highlights are the acceleration part, the jumping part, but really if you focus on absorbing and decelerating first, you'll be able to control your body a lot better, and then you can go back and build up your acceleration. So I'm a big fan of learning how to absorb force first. So this is what one of the exercises I'll do. So these are drops again. So turning to the side, the first time I think I did 20. The second time I think I did 10 or 15. Sometimes when you're doing drops and elastic stuff, I kind of get carried away, and you don't know how tiring it is until you actually stop. The burning sensation is weird. It only comes after you've done the exercise and stopped. So 3 sets of this. I think I did 10 to 20 reps of each, basically until my legs were fried and I couldn't stand. Normally when I work out, my breaks are pretty short. Filming obviously makes it a little bit tougher, but I'm not that fancy with my camera. I just kind of throw it there and try to just leave it. The workout is more important. Hopefully that's why you're following, and I'm not too concerned about the, I guess, video quality, production quality. Next, so talking about the acceleration part of the jumps, if you're trying to get a little bit more explosive, this is focusing on the concentric part, the upward part, the accelerating part. So I'm seated on a chair, still wearing the 40-pound vest, lifting one foot, trying to keep one foot down, and then exploding as soon as my foot contacts with the floor. So think a 1-2 jumper, or if you've trained or worked with me before or followed me, you will hear me say load, explode. And this one is just the explode portion. There's no loading since the chair is holding all of my weight. There's no loading, it's just pure exploding. So think, if this were to translate over to a game, think you're just jab stepping on triple threat, and then you just have to press the floor really hard to accelerate and just shoot that jumper. Standstill jumpers, think Carmelo Anthony and Kobe, people that are really good through the triple threat. This 40-pound thing is a behemoth. It gets you, it's not really breathable, so it gets me really hot underneath. And that's the worst thing about training with a vest, because it's not breathable underneath. It's just like this big, heavy blob. So I take it off because it's not conducive to jumping. It kind of sways around quite a bit. And so now I'm holding 50 pounds, 25 in each hand, and just doing your traditional squat jumps. So now it goes through the eccentric motion and the concentric motion and that little brief isometric motion. So you're getting the full range of the exercise here, and this is your most basic traditional squat jump, just holding 2 weights by my side. It's pretty easy because this weight is good for my height. I drop and the weights just slightly tap the floor, and it's a good indicator of when to jump. In basketball, you're never fully doing a 90-degree squat to bend to jump anyway, so a little bit more sport specific. Next is the Jefferson curl accessory work towards the end of the workout. I have a weight and I'm just leaning over, trying to use my hamstrings and lower back. Just fooling around with some goblet squats here, keeping my feet up. Sometimes people call this a sissy squat. There's so many names now, so let's stick with sissy squat with a front rack. I only do one set, so that's really not that important. Next, I'll go into a kickstand Romanian deadlift, one knee bent, one leg straight. This one's now with the back straight, and I'm really focusing on trying to push with my big toe on the straight leg to come up. This helps me with hamstring flexibility and strength. It's so neglected by me. My Nordics and my hamstrings are awful. So just giving extra attention to my hamstrings on this day. Basketball is mainly like a quad dominant stuff because you don't ever really get into a full sprint, or at least I don't. Taller players, more athletic players, you're never really getting into a full sprint. So hamstrings are important, but if you're a track person, hamstrings are huge. Full sprints are huge. Next, accessory work again. So I have a little step that I used earlier, and then I have a band double looped around my leg, and I'm doing a single leg bridge. Hamstrings and glutes, just trying to round out my explosive day workout. This is not that heavy for me. This is a black band. It's probably 60 pounds or so. Doing it single leg. I'm gonna lay there because I get tired and I'm too lazy to switch the bands to each side. I'll do about 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 20, depending on how I feel. Remember, at the end, after all the hard work is done, this is just accessory work. I used to do the accessory work in the beginning, and then it would hinder my kind of explosive performance. So been a little bit more methodical about warming up correctly and quicker, more systematic, and then at the end doing the strength or accessory work that I need help on. So just laying here, I'm dead, I can't move, and I just take, I don't know, 10-20 seconds, and I just want to get the stuff over with, finally get it off. And with pretty much every workout, I try to push myself, and I always end up saying one more. And so this is the one more. I throw it around both legs, and I loop it around my knees, double looped, and then I'm doing a double leg bridge because my glutes and hams are already fried. So I'll go up and then push out, do a hip adduction, and just keep doing another 3 sets of 10 or 20. These are really good to begin with if the single leg bridge is too hard, but don't stay too long on the floor because you'll get tired and you'll just want to lay down and just end the workout. So I did, I think, 2 sets of 20 on that, and as you can see, I did all that workout, and I'm barely sweating. Again, when you're doing stuff and you're of the mentality of getting better all the time, you'll always say one more, and so this was another one more. It wasn't part of the plan, and this is the hip internal rotation that I've stressed that you guys need to help you stop better in terms of turning your hips. So I did 3 sets of 10 really quick on each hip, and then I did another one more. Sure enough, if you keep saying one more, you'll notice that you've eventually done like 3, 4, 5 more. So it's a good habit to have. Sometimes I overdo it. So now I'm just laying on my stomach, doing the hip internal rotation again. Both feet are together, and then I just push my hips to get open and push away. It really sucks on your hips. If you've never done that, I highly recommend it. It's kind of those little things that will give you an edge over the competition or your competitor. Hope you liked it. I will see you guys next time.